Hey, this is Rick Theriault, your Maine real estate guide. I'm on location here in the town of Medway, Maine. I'm standing on an access road to a 34.55 plus or minus acre parcel of riverfront property. This is a great opportunity to have a private riverfront home on approximately 35 acres of land, or a home and maybe build some cottages along the river as some recreational income producer for you. It's a very pretty property. I'm calling it Penobscot Heights. The river frontage is at an elevation above the river, so there's no danger of flood. You'll see that in the video as we go on a little trek and cover most of the 34 acres here today. Where I'm standing right now is a right-of-way access road. This is for all purposes, to access the property, even utilities. There is a portion of the property that does abut the main road, so you could build another road there if you wish, but there is this road here that I'm standing on that is deeded 50 foot wide for all purposes, including utilities, to access the property. Along the road, which is Route 116 in Medway, there's also 335 feet of frontage along the road. That portion of the land has some cleared area. We'll see a little bit of that. The soils, according to the USDA soil map, are up there, could handle moderate farming, so you could have a pretty decent garden spot in that area if you wished. But this is just a great property, and we're going to take a little journey today, check it all out, and talk to you a little bit about the town of Medway. So this 34.55 plus or minus surveyed acres of riverfront property is coming to market at $249,000. Now, this access road has recently been improved. They've added some nice gravel, built it up a bit. There are culverts along its path for water management, which is what you need when you build a road. This is a nice private setting here in the town of Medway. The town of Medway was built near the confluence of the east and west branches of the Penobscot River. The two rivers join about a mile upstream from this property. Right at that joining portion, there's an island in the middle where the two rivers come together called Katahdin Island. That's a pretty decent place to fish. Just upstream from Katahdin Island is Medway Dam, which is a hydroelectric producing facility. So the water downstream from the dam is highly oxygenated, and I've fished there many times over the years and have had pretty decent success just downstream from the dam. Downriver from this property, about 5 miles downstream from here, there's another dam, Weldon Dam. So this impoundment between the two dams is largely placid. It's a great body of water for pleasure boating, fishing, wildlife watching, etc. So as we come onto the property, there is a utility line that does cross a portion of it. We're entering the part that borders the river. So the road ends just ahead of me, and we'll proceed through the woods down to the river's edge and check out the frontage. But this would be a great private location to build your dream riverfront home. Got towering pines, there's large oaks in there. We'll see some of those. I've seen a few apple trees along this private road. Let's head in. I've had many requests over the years looking for a property that I can mill my own timber and build my own house. Well, you could do that here. There's all kinds of these big pines. Here's my hand. Pine's about, 24 inches at breast height. Not a huge pine, but big enough to make dimensional lumber. And there's some spruces here and a lot of hardwood. So you can set up a portable sawmill here and mill your own dimensional lumber and build your own dream house from material right on site. You don't find that very often, but you could do that here. This is a really pretty spot right along the river's edge here, and that has largely been open. What's left here are more mature trees. There's a lot of space in between. It's pretty flat. It's elevated above the ground around it. This would be a great location to build a cabin or a house. In here, again, we call this Penobscot Heights. I'm going to say I'm 50 feet above the river here. You are not going to flood. No need for flood insurance at this location. Now there's a nice walking trail along the riverbank you can use to check out this property. Now the setback for building along the river here in Medway is 75 feet back from the normal high water mark. So you could build pretty much about where I'm standing, maybe back a little bit, but not far. Along the river here is largely mature pines and spruce and some hemlock. The topography of the land is largely rolling and sloped with lots of small plateaus. That would be great building sites. Here's the view of the river in front of us. Now the town of Medway is a small community, roughly 1,300 residents in the town of Medway. The adjacent communities of East Millinocket and Millinocket add about 6,000 population to that number. So in the greater Katahdin region, the population's about 7,000 people. We have a local hospital, Millinocket Regional Hospital. There's a grocery store in Millinocket, Hannaford. There's a grocery store in East Millinocket, Ellis's Market. There's some small grocery stores. Mary Ann's in Medway is my go-to spot for fresh cut meat. Danny, the owner there, keeps a very, very nice meat counter. So you can find about everything that you need in the Katahdin region, in the greater Medway, Maine area. You know, we got hardware and healthcare and groceries available locally. Medway's about 60 miles north of Bangor, Maine, which is the region's largest community. Bangor is a center for advanced healthcare. There's this international airport there, BGR, Bangor International. We're convenient to the interstate, easy access. This property is probably 4 miles from the interstate. Here's another beautiful spot where a person could build a riverside cabin. You can clear a few trees here and have a beautiful water view. Today, you got a nice breeze off the water, just gorgeous. There's a nice towering oak tree. There's lots of oaks on this property, a fair amount of deer sign. Along the river here, you're gonna see a lot of wildlife, a lot of bald eagles. I can't imagine spending a day on the river here and not seeing a bald eagle soar overhead. I've guided fishermen here for years. We see bald eagles almost on a daily basis. Here in this spot, tell me if this doesn't ring a chord with you as well. Check out this massive oak tree in front of me. I really expect to smell the scent of chocolate chip cookies emanating from this area, because I think this is where the Keebler elves live. Check that tree out. It is impressive. Very, very cool. That's got to be 5 feet at the base in front of me here. If there isn't a cookie factory in there, I don't know. It's over 3,200 feet of frontage along the Penobscot River. So there are many, many locations to either build a home or build some guest cottages or just have a beautiful piece of riverfront property just to call your own. Here's another little grove of oaks here along the river's edge. This section of the Penobscot is one of Maine's largest rivers, but this section here between the two dams, you've got roughly eight miles thereabouts of water that is easy to boat. It's deep water. There's a beautiful view right here. Let's check it out. Largely, there are homes on both sides, but very largely a lot of the river frontage is undeveloped, but there are a few homes dotted from here and there. This is a fantastic smallmouth fishery. If you want to Google the Penobscot River or smallmouth bass fishing in the Penobscot River, you'll find hundreds of articles. People from all over the world come here to fish for smallmouth bass. You can catch bass in great numbers, of very good quality. You can have many fishing adventures right here on this property. This is a very good section to fish, and there's a lot of Penobscot River to explore. If you look back in the archives, we did a video a year or so ago downriver, down around Old Town. We were fishing down in that area as well, but you can find bass along the great a majority of this river basin, all the way up through Millinocket. There's bass even up into the lakes upstream on the West Branch, in the Penobscot chain of lakes as well. You'll find all kinds of wildlife along the Penobscot, including beaver. And here's where they came up probably last fall and cut down a small oak tree to put in their feed pile for the winter. Because in the wintertime, this section of river is frozen solid. People snowmobile on it. This time of year, it's just a fantastic place to spend a Sunday or a sunny afternoon. For fishing in this section of river, predominantly the species you're going to target are smallmouth bass. It's just a fantastic bass fishery. You can catch brook trout and landlocked salmon and migratory Atlantic salmon, although you can't fish for them. They do travel through these waters as well. Upstream from here at Medway Dam, where that highly oxygenated water is, especially in the springtime, that's a great location to fish for brook trout and landlocks. The Atlantic salmon are going to pass through here and continue upstream, typically up the East Branch, where they'll find a place in the fall to lay their eggs and procreate. There's another view of this nice elevated potential building site above the Penobscot River, high and dry and very level, which makes building all the easier right here in this location. You could build off-grid here. You'd have to cut a few trees so you could have a better view of the southern sky, but you could have a private off-grid home site, and there are several to choose from. Now this parcel has been surveyed. There are survey stakes in place, and I do have a copy of the survey plan. They had broken this property up into 7 parcels. 1 along the road, 6 along the river, with the survey plan finished. The subdivision plan, I do not believe, has ever been formally accepted by the community. So if you wanted to sell off the lots individually, you would probably have to go through that formal subdivision process and get final approval from the Board of Selectmen in the town of Medway, or just keep it as one contiguous parcel for you and your family. And here's one of the survey stakes marking an edge of one of the lots. You can find those survey stakes all along this path that extends along the shoreline high above the Penobscot River. In this section of the property, the sloping nature of the topography really is evident as we drop down. I don't know if you can see that hillside against the skyline. It drops down, then plateaus down below. Then we continue on, and again, it steps down again. So this is a sloping, rolling topography. Makes it interesting. A lot more interesting than just a flat piece of ground. On the northern portion of the lot, upriver, it does flatten out and you can get closer to the water. I'm about 1 foot above the water's edge. You probably wouldn't want to build a house down here, but this would be a place that you could probably put a dock in to keep your boat. It'd be a lot easier to keep a boat here with a dock than where the land is quite a bit above the river. Those places there are better suited for building, No danger of flooding there, but here would be a convenient place to dock a boat. Be very easy to put a dock in and take it out in the fall and store the dock up here in the woods. And this property, unlike many properties in Maine that come on the market that are just land, has not been logged recently. So the woodlands along this stretch of river are pretty mature with pine, hemlock, spruce, some maple, some very large oaks. It's a very nice property. Just waiting for you to come and make it your own. It's very dark and shaded here in this section of the property, but I'm standing right by a little spring. It's tough to see in the shadows here, but it's one of many springs in this section of the property that drains the wooded hillsides. And that's part of the reason I would, if it were me building, I would build at the southern end of the property that's high and dry, because there's lots of areas here where the ground is wet and would not perk. But up there where you're high above the river, and this one here we're not, we're at basically the same level as the river. This is not a place to build and put in a septic system. So here's the roadside clearing that I mentioned earlier. Got a nice field area here, which would be very easy to build upon if you wanted to be right adjacent to power and access. But if you want more privacy, go down beyond those trees, down to the river's edge. So if you're looking for a large riverfront lot on the Penobscot River that's year-round accessible, power at the street, private, yet accessible, you want to take a look at Penobscot Heights. Coming to market at $249,000 for the 34.55 plus or minus acre parcel of surveyed riverfront land with approximately 3,200 feet of frontage on Maine's premier Penobscot River, plus 335 feet of frontage on Route 116, making this year-round accessible. This is just a beautiful property. So give Rick Theriault, your Maine real estate guy, a call at area code 207-731-9902, and let's take a walk and check out this parcel before it's gone.